you see, Charles, what these parents aren't understanding is that the children were already dead before I left them unattended. I'm quite sorry, Carol, but we have to interrupt our regularly scheduled programming for a special emergency broadcast.
Now, contrary to whatever fake news you may have read recently, wildfires are not burning down the Amazon rainforest right now. The Amazon rainforest has been set on fire. This is arson, and it is arson with an intent. The intent is to clear land to raise cows in order to stab those cows to death, chop their bodies up into pieces, and sell those body parts to anybody that eats cows. That is the cause of the destruction of 91% of the Amazon rainforest. But it's not just Brazil, and it's not just cows. On a planetary scale, the consumption of animals and their bodily fluids is the #1 cause of habitat destruction and what has become the 6th great mass extinction of life on Earth.
Yes, I see, but what could be done about this?
If you want to take a massive bite out of this massive crisis, this is the massive action you're going to need to take. Keep eating meat, plant-based meat that is. Stop eating animals.
Wait, but hold on. Is it really that simple?
Now, while individual action can make an enormous difference, changing up the ingredients in our burgers and our milkshakes alone won't be enough to save the Amazon and save the planet. That's going to take large-scale collective action, aka politics.
If you want to understand how the battles at the ballot box are going to determine whether the Amazon and whether life as we know it on this planet will survive or not, then check out the original video starting at the 4-minute mark.
But before we head over there, please do me a favor and share this on whatever social media outlet you're most active on. If you're on Instagram, I made a special version that has the title and captions on screen. I know that the apps that most people have won't let you share a video that's in 2 parts, so if you want to, just send me a direct message at Gaia's Eye and I will email it straight to you. Unlike so many so-called environmental groups that are failing miserably to share this simple message with their massive audiences, I don't have a multi-million-dollar budget to broadcast this message. I don't have hundreds of staff and volunteers to help me get the word out. All I have is you. Wherever and however you share this, please do me a favor, tag the so-called World Wildlife Fund, tag Amazon Watch and the Rainforest Action Network, and ask them for me. Why are all these so-called environmental organizations ignoring the elephant in the room, or in this case, the cow in the rainforest, and instead just asking you to sign petitions and send them donations instead? Are they scared that if they tell you the whole truth, that you might be an accessory to arson in the Amazon, that it might scare you? Why? If you didn't know, then you shouldn't feel guilty. Just enjoy delicious plant-based meat and other alternatives instead of eating cows and other animals. Problem solved. But these so-called environmental groups can't claim that they didn't know better. They do know the truth, and they're scared to tell you for some reason as the earth burns. And listen, if you guys think I'm being hard on you for no reason, I just need to clarify. I've marched in the streets with you around the climate emergency. I've participated in fundraisers and donated money to you. I support you. I'm just frustrated and disappointed in you. When 91% of the reason that the Amazon is being destroyed is for animal agriculture, that's what you should be talking about 91% of the time. The #1 reason for the Amazon's destruction should be the #1 item on top of your agenda that you're blaring out over Instagram, Facebook, social media, where people get your message on a daily basis. And real quick, something I forgot to mention when we were in the forest earlier, yeah, he was with me the whole time, is that while words matter, because the groups I mentioned earlier have a reach of millions of people every single day on social media, and from skimming through their content, and by the way, the average person isn't going to do much more than skim through. So if the most important message isn't immediately obvious from skimming through, then the average person is not going to get it. They were mostly abject failures in getting the message out, with the big exception of Greenpeace sharing awesome content like this. But like I was saying, when words matter, actions matter even more. I don't know how many of you heard of a company called WeWork, but WeWork is an office space rental company based out of the United States. Multi-billion-dollar company, but nothing to do with, the environment or anything like that. But one day the CEO just sent out an email to all of his employees and said, from now on, no more animal flesh in the cafeteria, no more animal flesh. We're not going to reimburse you for company meals with that. It's not going to be served on site. Because, I read that apparently the biggest thing you could possibly do to deal with the climate emergency and the potential end of life on Earth is to stop eating animals. Now, he actually said meat. He didn't say stop eating animals because he's not an animal rights activist. He's not a vegan, so he's not thinking to give animals the respect they deserve by referring to their dead bodies as animals, cows, pigs, chickens, not just pieces of meat. But what a powerful policy. How is We Work doing that and Greenpeace isn't? And the World Wildlife Fund is murdering animals in their cafeteria. Murdering animals that require you to murder wildlife as well. That's insane.
If a random office rental company can do it, then Greenpeace can do it. All these environmental groups, we need to challenge them to walk the walk. If you believe your own words that we are living in a climate emergency, then it's time to institute an animal-free, a murder-free policy in your own offices, in your own spending. It's the least we can do alongside spreading the message.
Oh, by the way, if you find yourself about to fill up the comment section with some brilliant thoughts like, man, I don't fucking care about the Amazon. I love eating cow carcasses. Burn that shit to the ground, man.
Mom, Billy's trolling again.
Let me just clarify something for you. If the Amazon dies, you die. The Amazon burns to the ground. The smoke, the greenhouse gases from those fires will unleash climate catastrophes of the sort that will make Mad Max look like a Disney movie. So if you care about your own life, you might want to do something about the fact that the earth is on fire. Especially considering that the reason the earth is on fire, the number one thing you could do to put the fires out is to stop eating dead bodies that cause heart disease, cancer, erectile dysfunction, diabetes, obesity, high blood pressure. In the case of heart disease and cancer, two of the leading killers in the Western world. So yeah, eat some of that delicious plant-based meat, mother. Now, because this news is a little bit overwhelming and more than a little bit terrifying, let me leave you something that hopefully might inspire you into action from the original video. Now, that's the bad news. The good news is that if humans were to switch from an animal to a plant-based diet, it would free up 75% of all the land currently being taken up by the human race right now. Not to mention ending our assault on the world's oceans, which are also dying as we speak, another threat to the existence of humans and all life on Earth. 75% of all the land currently being taken up by the human race, for context, is the equivalent to the land area of the United States, China, the European Union, and the continent of Australia combined. All allowed to regenerate into nature, rainforests, savannas, grasslands, marshes allowed to grow back, and become a habitat for endangered species that are currently on the brink of extinction. So, while you personally going vegan will make a massive difference, you personally going vegan still won't be enough to save the entire Amazon rainforest and the planet, of course. In fact, even if you're already vegan, you might still be a huge part of the problem. And the issue there is the same issue that we're gonna need to tackle if we're gonna solve the overall planetary emergency: politics. Specifically, I'm talking to the vegans of the sort who like to repeat the myth that, oh, there's no difference between right and left-wing politics. It's all the same. What's the expression I heard the other day? Two wings, left wing, right wing, two wings of the same chicken or something like that. Pay attention to the mother facts. If you compare what's happening now to what has been happening in previous years with previous governments in Brazil, left-wing governments in Brazil, not perfect by any stretch, but they made massive progress in protecting the Amazon, in lowering deforestation, in lowering the amount of fires that were set for the destruction there. They weren't perfect by any stretch, just like nobody's perfect, just like Democrats aren't perfect, etc. But the difference between them is enormous. It's a mass extinction of a difference. If you think there's no difference, it's because you're sitting on your privileged somewhere and don't understand because you haven't been personally affected. Actually, you have been personally affected by it. You're just ignorant as to how. Because to use Donald Trump as an example, pumping out massive amounts of toxic pollution into the air across North America and the world, whether you know about that or not, you are being poisoned by that piece of shit. So wake the up. But I digress. Even if you don't live in Brazil, your country matters in terms of its own policy, and your country matters in terms of the way it influences Brazil. Just the other day, the president of France said that an entire massive trade deal with South America is now in jeopardy because of these fires, and he might cancel the entire deal unless Brazil takes action. fantastic. The President of the United States wasn't a complete moron and conspiracy theorist. He would also be taking action on this, except that the United States has far more power than any other country in the world, so the action taken by the United States matters. For example, the last legitimately elected president of the United States, Barack Obama, made a historic deal with Brazil to address the climate emergency, and that led to very real progress both in the United States and in Brazil. And of course, every one of us lives in a country where millions of lives, both animals' lives and human lives, are at stake every single election. In the case of larger countries like the United States, it could be tens of millions, even billions of lives at stake. And if you want an in-depth look at the way Republicans and Democrats have a mass extinction of a difference between them on these issues, check out this article, which was the culmination of over 2 years of research into the destruction unleashed by the Trump administration, as well as the progress made by the Obama administration, which is just part of a historical trend that separates Republicans and Democrats. If you live in Canada, we've got an election coming up real soon. And again, a huge difference between left and right, between liberal and conservative. I'm gonna be making a series of videos on that, so subscribe if you wanna stay up to date, and message me if you wanna get active in mobilizing animal lovers in Canada ahead of our October election. Anyways, I don't wanna get too in-depth into that here because I have a whole series of videos coming out about vegan politics. The bottom line is to pay attention. If you want to support the work I'm doing, raising awareness on animal rights, on vegan politics, the music that I'm doing, the comedy that I'm doing, you can check out the Vegan and Humanimal Alliance gear on this page. Check out the Patreon page, where some of the rewards include Vegan Humanimal Alliance attire. And thank you so much for listening. Don't pray for the Amazon. Do something about it. Keep eating meat. Stop eating animals.